Welcome back to the Poorly Educated Podcast, where I try to explain American politics with the same clarity I use when explaining why my cousin welded a lawn chair to his jet ski. Spoiler: both involve bad decisions and gasoline. So here we are, folks, week 4 of the great government shutdown of 2025, or as I like to call it, day 28 of Oops, We Forgot the Country. This ain't your average shutdown, no sir. This one's like if Washington decided to cosplay as a Waffle House at 3 a.m. The lights are flickering, nobody's getting paid, and there's a fight breaking out between the cooks. At the center of it all, we got Trump on one side saying, "No deals till we get a clean bill," and Democrats on the other saying, "Not without those ACA subsidies." It's like watching two toddlers argue over who gets the bigger crayon, except these toddlers control nuclear weapons and your grandma's SNAP benefits. 40 million Americans might lose food aid by November 1st. That's 40 million people, or as Walmart calls it, Saturday. And air traffic controllers are now missing paychecks. Imagine landing a plane full of passengers while your debit card just declined at Subway. I'd be like, "Folks, this is your captain speaking. Please prepare for landing and also Venmo me $5. Meanwhile, the Democrats are blaming Trump. Trump's blaming the Democrats, and the USDA's blaming budgetary constraints, which sounds like government speak for, "We broke it and can't afford duct tape." Then the Federal Workers Union jumped in saying, "Just pass a clean bill already," basically taking the GOP's side. That's like if your babysitter joined the kids in the food fight. And get this, Congress can't even visit ICE detention centers right now because ICE said they don't have enough staff. So if your representative tries to check on the border, ICE is like, "Sorry, we're out of babysitters." This whole thing's less a shutdown and more a shut-up. The government's off, but the drama's still on. 24 hours, every channel. Segment 2. The Biden AutoPen Report, Lawfare and Laughfare. Now, while America's government is frozen like a deer in Trump's headlights, the House Oversight Committee decided to drop their big Biden AutoPen Report. Because when your country's collapsing, what better way to help than arguing about a pen? According to this report, Joe Biden's staff used an AutoPen, that's a mechanical signature device, to sign documents when old Joe was napping, eating Jell-O, or possibly watching Matlock reruns. Republicans are calling it a vast constitutional conspiracy, which is rich coming from a party that signs bills with Sharpies and ketchup stains. They claim Biden's aides illegally wielded power using the AutoPen. Buddy, I can't even get my printer to connect to Wi-Fi, and you're telling me these folks rigged democracy with a Bic pen on wheels? Half of Congress can't even open a PDF? The committee said, unless proven otherwise, they're declaring those AutoPen-signed acts void, which means, theoretically, every pardon, proclamation, and birthday card Biden signed could now be illegal. Somewhere, a guy named Dale from Delaware who got his student loans forgiven is now sweating bullets. But let's be honest, this ain't about truth. It's about timing. The Trump team dropped this right in the middle of the shutdown so the media would chase Joe's pen instead of Donald's problem. It's like tossing a shiny car key to distract a toddler from the fact that the kitchen's on fire. And here's the kicker. Turns out, the Oversight Committee's own chairman, James Comer, used a digital signature for his subpoenas. That's right. The same man yelling "fraud" was copy-pasting his own John Hancock. That's like a man yelling about gas stoves while microwaving a burrito in a metal bowl. Even Trump used an AutoPen during his first term, but now it's unconstitutional. Next week, they'll investigate whether Biden's Roomba was secretly running the Department of Energy. Segment 3. Trump's Asian Adventure. trade wars, and Nobel dreams. While DC is eating itself alive, Trump's out gallivanting across Asia like a man on a diplomatic pub crawl. He stopped in Tokyo, called Japan's first female prime minister a winner, and said she's going to be one of the greatest of all time. Folks, when Trump calls you a winner, it's 50-50 whether he means it or he's about to sell you a timeshare. She, in return, said she'd nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize because nothing screams world peace like a man who once threatened to nuke hurricanes. I'm not saying Trump doesn't deserve awards. He certainly mastered self-promotion. If they gave Nobels for most words in a single sentence, he'd have 3. But the real news: Japan's investing $550 billion into U.S. industries in exchange for tariff relief. Trump dropped tariffs from 25% to 15%. That's like your mechanic saying, "Good news. Your car still doesn't run, but I only charged half as much to ruin it." And Japan promised to boost defense spending. Trump calls it rebalancing the Pacific. I call it America's newest subscription plan: Netflix, Hulu, and war. Meanwhile, in Malaysia, the US and China reached a preliminary consensus, which is diplomatic speak for, "We're both broke, let's chill for a bit." Trump's team bragged they stopped 100% tariffs, and China paused their rare earth export ban. Translation: both sides agreed to stop punching each other long enough to count the bruises. China also promised to buy American soybeans again. Somewhere in Iowa, a farmer just high-fived his tractor. TikTok's restructuring deal got wrapped in, too. So congrats, America. We've officially turned national security into a dance challenge. This truce ain't permanent, though. It's more like a ceasefire in a family BBQ argument. Everyone smiles for the photo, but Uncle Xi's still got a spatula behind his back. Segment 4. The economic engine: AI, layoffs, and nuclear power. Over here in the good old U.S. economy, things are moving faster than my cousin's Dodge after 3 Red Bulls and a cop sighting. Amazon just announced 30,000 corporate layoffs, the biggest in company history. Their CEO says it's all about AI efficiency, which sounds like corporate code for robots work harder and don't take lunch breaks. These aren't factory jobs, folks. These are HR, management, and cloud engineers. So if you're an Amazon manager, congratulations. Alexa just became your replacement. Alexa, fire Jim from accounting. Done. Jim's security badge has been deactivated. The layoffs are part of this bigger government corporate power grab. The Trump administration just launched an $80 billion nuclear reactor program to power AI data centers. You heard that right. Nuclear reactors for artificial intelligence. Because nothing says safe future like giving Skynet its own power source. Energy Secretary Chris Wright called it America's nuclear renaissance. Yeah, buddy, if we start glowing in the dark, it better come with a Spotify playlist. They say it'll create 100,000 construction jobs and win the global AI race. That's what we call a win-win. Robots get smarter, and humans get to build their charging stations. And the Federal Reserve's cutting interest rates again, second time this year, even though inflation's still high. It's like your doctor saying, "You've got a fever, so I prescribed you a fur coat." The Fed's flying blind because of the shutdown's data blackout. They don't have job reports or inflation numbers, so they're basically steering the U.S. economy like it's a boat in fog, using a magic 8-ball. Should we raise rates? Outlook hazy. Bottom line, America's economy is being run by 3 forces: AI, nuclear reactors, and vibes. Segment 5. Society and Tech Fault Lines. Operation Midway Blitz and geoengineering gone wild. Finally, let's talk about two stories that sound like rejected Marvel plotlines, but are unfortunately real. First up, Operation Midway Blitz in Chicago. Federal immigration raids have gotten so intense that DHS literally used a helicopter to drop agents onto apartment roofs. That ain't immigration enforcement. That's mission. Impossible. Paperwork protocol. The feds said they were targeting a Venezuelan gang called Tren de Aragua. But out of 37 people arrested, only 2 were actually in the gang. That's like casting a net for sharks and catching a bunch of goldfish, then holding a press conference about your bravery. Locals say the raids caused chaos, broken doors, terrified families, citizens detained by mistake. The administration calls it restoring order. I call it reality TV for authoritarian cosplay. Mayor Brandon Johnson called it a calculated effort to stir anger. And he's right. It's hard to have unity when the government's dropping helicopters into neighborhoods like it's Call of Duty, South Shore Edition. Now, if that ain't wild enough, let's talk about a startup named Stardust Solutions. They want to shoot aerosols into the sky to cool the planet. A plan that sounds like it was pitched at 2 a.m. after too many energy drinks. Bro, what if we just sprayed sunscreen into space? Scientists are calling it reckless. One said it could trigger termination shock, which is a fancy way of saying, if you stop, the Earth cooks. It's like being addicted to air conditioning. Once you start, you can never stop, or you melt. And it's not even governments doing this. It's a private company. Meaning some guy in a hoodie with venture capital money could literally change the weather. I can't even trust billionaires with social media platforms, and now we're giving them the atmosphere. If this doesn't sum up 2025, I don't know what does. A country that's shut down, run by robots, lit by nukes, and cooled by aerosol cans. And that's all for today's poorly educated podcast, folks. If you're confused, congratulations. That means you're paying attention. Remember, stay hydrated, question everything, and if you see a cloud acting weird, maybe don't blame Mother Nature. Blame Stardust Solutions. Because in modern America, even the weather's got a startup.